Discover the miraculous truths of Sodom and Gomorrah, exposed for God's divine redemption plan. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the prophet Jeremiah witnessed the unfolding of God's divine plan amidst a world entwined in wickedness. In the city of Sodom, where the cries of the righteous were drowned by the revelry of the wicked, a righteous man named Lot walked the narrow path of faith. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city's depths, Lot's heart grew heavy with the weight of decay surrounding him. A glimmer of hope remained, for he was the nephew of Abraham, a man chosen to uphold the covenant promise of God. Each day, Lot implored the Lord for mercy on Sodom, but wickedness flourished. The air thick with unrepentant sin, he became a stranger in his own home, navigating the treacherous currents of temptation and despair. That fateful evening, as he sat among the city's gates, his anguish bore witness to the corruption that ran rampant. It was a cacophony of disobedience, pride, and violence. Then, as if summoned by his silent cries, 2 angels appeared, their brilliance piercing the gloom like a beacon of divine light. Approaching Lot, they radiated an aura of otherworldly authority. "Come, I beg you, to my house," Lot urged, recognizing the urgency of their presence. With grace, they accepted, understanding the goodness of his heart in a city that had long forsaken righteousness, but the news of their arrival spread swiftly, drawing the eyes of a violent mob. As Lot prepared a humble feast, the din of a raucous crowd erupted outside. Men from the city descended upon his home, voices clamoring for the visitors whose very presence threatened their wicked pleasure. "Brothers," Lot implored, stepping outside to confront them, "do not act wickedly. These men are under my roof, do not mistreat them." Yet, the crowd's hearts had grown impenetrable, deaf to his plea. In a spiral of desperation, Lot's spirit sank as he faced a rising tide of violence directed toward his guests. But as his trembling heart weighed heavy with despair, the angels stepped forth. With commanding authority echoing through the night, they proclaimed, "Stand back." In an instant, the men of Sodom were struck with blindness, confounding their wicked intentions. Solemnly, the angels turned to Lot, their expressions reflecting urgency steeped in divine purpose. "We have come to deliver you from the wrath that is to come upon this city. Gather your family and flee to the mountains. Do not look back." Their message rang clear, igniting the flame of urgency within Lot's heart. Yet turmoil twisted within him. Could he leave Sodom behind, his home steeped in memories, now tarnished by sin? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. With urgency compelling him, Lot raced back, his voice urgent as he called to his wife and daughters. "To the house, quickly." He felt the clawing fear of what awaited them beyond the door, a torrent of flames and judgment. They assembled their belongings, but darkness seeped into his heart at the thought of leaving loved ones behind. The angels watched as Lot prepared, their grave faces capturing the weight of approaching doom. Time was slipping through their fingers. "Flee to the mountains before the judgment falls," they insisted, their voices echoing against the darkening skies. Torn, Lot grappled with the love for a city he once called home and the urgent command from heaven. As he withstood the urgency to leave everything familiar and undeniable, question echoed in his heart: did he possess the faith to witness God's mercy amid looming destruction? With anguish clawing at him, he could only cling to hope in the divine plan yet to unfold, the flames of Sodom's impending judgment flickering ominously in the distance. The angels urged again, "Do not look back." As Lot hesitated, the chaos of Sodom echoing around them, filling the night with uncertainty. As dawn approached, the burden in Lot's heart began to contrast against the lightning sky. Roiling clouds converged above Sodom, casting a shadow of impending doom. "Lot, take your family and go," the angels implored again, their voices echoing like the very command of heaven. The urgency was palpable, as if the air itself trembled under divine anticipation, Lot looked upon his wife, her eyes filled with worry, and his daughters, who clung to one another, uncertainty mirroring in their young faces. Would they heed the warning? A dark thought crept upon him. Would they abandon the city of their youth, the place where they had known life, despite its wickedness? Yet, the flames of judgment loomed near. "Let us leave now," he pressed, and with a shaky breath, they began to gather the meager belongings they could carry. Precious items collected over years now seemed but ash against what was coming. The weight of their decision pressed down upon them, the fear of the unknown juxtaposed with the horrific certainty of Sodom's fate. Then, in the stillness before flight, a stirring glance passed between Lot and his wife. "Remember God's mercy," he whispered, yet doubt lingered in the depths of his heart. Could they forsake all that they had known to embrace an uncertain future? As they hurried forth, the sound of desperation heightened amidst the chaotic clamor of the city. The angels led, a light undeniable amidst an encroaching night of wickedness, the darkness curling around them like a cloak. "To the mountains," they cried, as the ground began to tremble beneath their feet. The cries of the wicked grew distant, swallowed by impending judgment. Lot felt fierce prayers erupt within him. He asked for his family's hearts to be firm and resolute as the angels beckoned them away from ruin, but as they reached the city's edge, trembling under the weight of such a decision, Lot gasped at the sight before him, the sprawling darkness behind and an unfamiliar light ahead. "Let me not go to the mountains," he pleaded. Echoes of hesitation tumbled forth. "There dwells monsters in the crevices. Let me flee to a small city, Zor, that I may be safe." The angels, witnessing Lot's profound fear, exchanged glances. With compassion, they assented. "Behold, we grant your request." Their grace wrapped around him, for they knew that his heart bore the marks of struggle against Sodom's decay. As the fledgling family descended, they soon glimpsed the horizon glow with fire, the very judgment that had been foretold illuminating the night like a consuming flame. Lot's heart caught in his throat as he witnessed the city engulfed in consuming fire and brimstone, crashing down upon the evildoers like the sound of 1,000 thunders. "Flee for your lives, and do not look back," the angels urged, but in a moment of dread, Lot's wife turned, compelled by nostalgia or perhaps guilt, yearning for the comforts of home that now lay in ash. In that singular moment, she became a pillar of salt, a warning echoing through time, a testimony of the consequence born from a gaze backward when deliverance called forward. Lot, shocked, stumbled forward with his daughters as the destruction rained down. Tears and smoke mingled, reflecting the anguish of what had been lost and the trepidation of what lay ahead. Yet, something flickered in the air. Was it hope? Was there a promise yet to unfold? Even as they escaped, a silent question wove through Lot's heart: is the mercy God extended to him only for himself, or did it stretch beyond, encompassing the very lessons and legacies of faith meant to endure? Thus, as they reached the sanctuary of Zor, their fate intermingled with strangers, the echoes of destruction and salvation would linger, beckoning all toward the revelation of God's mercy, testing their hearts as the unfolding story centered upon a divine plan that transcended their immediate circumstance. For what lay ahead was not merely survival, but the ultimate reaffirmation of a covenant promise, a testimony of God's sovereignty, where even from ashes, hope could arise anew. What revelation would emerge from this harrowing judgment to tether their faith? Only time would unfold the depths of his intentions, as the dawn of a new chapter awaited just beyond the horizon. As the shadows of twilight descended upon the small city of Zor, the air trembled with remnants of the cataclysm that had consumed Sodom. Lot, his heart now heavy with sorrow and confusion, found solace in the temporary refuge he had sought. He looked upon his daughters. Their youthful faces, though marred with tears, bore traces of resilience. "Here, we wrestle with the echoes of devastation," Lot spoke softly, his voice trembling under the weight of grief. "Yet, even in this desolation, we must cling to the promise that our God still reigns." His daughters, aware of their father's pain and the gravity of their situation, stood close. "Father, what now shall we do?" one asked, her eyes wide with uncertainty, reflecting the flame of hope that flickered dimly within the storm of destruction. "We shall seek the Lord," Lot replied, determination beginning to replace despair. He turned his gaze toward the heavens, where stars began to pierce through the soot-laden sky, shimmering like beacons of divine grace. We will call upon him to guide our steps, for though judgment has fallen, his mercy does not forsake those who seek him. That night, as they huddled together, Lot led them in prayer, pleading for the strength to endure the trials they faced. The flames that had destroyed a city still enveloped his mind, but within that devastation lay the seeds of a new beginning. In the hushed light of evening, he prayed fervently, calling for understanding and clarity amidst turmoil. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Zor, a revealing sight awaited them. A figure cloaked in brilliance approached. The air vibrated with divinity, and the daughters gasped in awe. "Fear not, Lot," the voice resonated, reverberating with heavenly authority. "The God of Abraham has not abandoned you or your household." Lot fell to his knees, recognizing the sacred presence. "What words of comfort do you bear, O Lord? My heart is burdened with the loss of my wife and the fate of those I loved. Will there be hope for us? Indeed, for I am a God of restoration. Your journey is not yet complete." The figure spoke, a soft yet powerful light emanating warmth upon them. "From the ashes of Sodom, a new legacy shall rise. For I will establish a people from your lineage, whose faith shall echo through generations." Lot's heart stirred with a mix of wonder and clarity. How could this be? He had wandered out of a city engulfed in judgment, yet here stood before him a promise that extended beyond mere survival. The thought of a new covenant kindled a spark of hope in the depths of his being. "Lord," he murmured reverently, "it is a weighty thing you ask of us. What are we to do in this new beginning?" "Hold on to faith, and teach your daughters to pursue righteousness," the voice continued. "For in due time, your descendants will be instruments of my deliverance. They will lead a nation whose heart seeks after me." As the visage of divine light began to fade, Lot stood resolute. The trials of Sodom had birthed a profound awareness within him. God's plans were much greater than his immediate understanding, and often, what seemed loss could become a pathway to greater glory. But then a sudden stillness enveloped the night. The winds ceased their howl, leaving an eerie quiet. In that moment, an ominous understanding crept into Lot's thoughts. Would he and his daughters be alone in this journey? The uncertainty of what lay ahead loomed larger than the shadows of Sodom's destruction. "Fear not, for I am with you," echoed in the space between breaths, and as Lot searched the heavens, he felt the weight of divine affirmation, a message coursing through every heartbeat. Yet, a deeper question remained etched in his soul: would they trust in the unfolding plan of their God, even when the path diverged into shadows unforeseen? Would they dare to embrace a future laden with promise, despite the echoes of past devastation that rang still in their hearts? Thus began their sojourn, stepping out not merely as survivors of ruin but as vessels of God's unfolding story. What new mercies awaited them? What revelations were set to emerge from the ashes? For the threads of God's redemptive tapestry were weaving before their eyes, and as day would follow night, the dawn of a new legacy awaited, an invitation into a journey of faith that transcended the familiar, whispering gently of hope born from loss. As dawn broke over Zor, a gentle light unveiled the remnants of the night's turmoil. Lot, with a heart still heavy from grief, felt the warmth of the sun on his face, an echo of divine promise stirring within him. He gathered his daughters in the morning light, their faces still etched with the shadows of sorrow, yet an unspoken resolve lingered in their eyes. "Today," Lot spoke, a new strength underlying his voice, "we embark on a path guided by the Almighty. From ruin, we shall seek to build anew." His daughters listened, absorbing his words, each understanding the magnitude of their father's resolve. "But, father, from where shall we begin?" asked one, a flicker of hope igniting amidst her uncertainty. "First, we must cultivate a spirit of prayer and remembrance," he instructed, as he gathered stones to create an altar. "Let us honor the God who has spared us and seek his guidance in all that lies ahead." Together, they built the altar and offered up their prayers, voices mingling like incense rising to the heavens, a fragrant offering of gratitude amidst the ashes of sorrow. Lot's heart cried out for wisdom, for the path ahead was unknown. Leaning on the promise that had been delivered to him in the shadows of the night, as the sun climbed higher, illuminating the remnants of Zor, the three began their labor. They cleared away the debris left by dawn's destruction, each stone symbolizing not just what was lost, but what was yet to be created. With every sweat-soaked moment, they invoked the faith that had been instilled in them, remembering Abraham's unwavering trust in God's promises. Days turned into weeks as they toiled, and yet the burden of their former home lingered like a haunting refrain. Amidst their work, whispers of the past seeped into their hearts. Lot saw his daughters struggle as they wrestled with the memories of Sodom, questioning the paths that brought them to this moment. "Father," one said, staring out towards the horizon where their old lives lay smoldering, "will we ever find peace again? Can we truly be made whole when everything we knew is gone?" Lot turned to them, his heart aching with their pain. "Though we are in a land of ashes, remember that God creates beauty from the rubble. Our hope is not in this land but in the legacy that shall arise from our faithfulness. For we are called to be a beacon of light, just as he promised." With their father's encouragement, they clung to hope like a life raft amidst the turbulent sea of uncertainty. Yet, as they worked, troubling shadows from the past began to loom large over them, and fear threatened to creep back into the corners of their hearts. One evening, as twilight fell, a stranger approached, a traveler from travelers, his presence unmistakable, his countenance radiant. "Fear not," he said, "for I bring tidings from the Lord. Your faith has not gone unnoticed. The God of Abraham sees your struggles, and in due time, he shall forge a new path out of your current trials." Lot's heart quickened at the sight of this messenger. "What message do you carry?" "The time is near for deliverance," the stranger replied with a gravity that weighted his words. "Prepare your hearts and your lives, for great things are set before you. The lineage you shall bear will shape nations, and from your faith, a generation will arise that seeks the Lord." As the traveler spoke, Lot felt the stirring of an ancient promise interwoven with the fabric of fate. Yet, an unsettling thought danced at the edges of his mind. Will we be prepared for what God has in store for us? Will we be able to walk the path he sets before us? With silence coursing through the still air, the night offered no answers, only a promise of an impending dawn. What lay ahead remained shrouded in mystery, but the call to embrace their new destiny resonated deep within them. Would they trust the unfolding narrative of their God, in the stillness and uncertainty? As stars began to shimmer once more in the velvety sky, they gathered once again, hearts lifted in prayer and anticipation. The journey had begun, yet the ultimate revelation of God's sovereign plan still awaited to be unveiled. What would he accomplish through their obedience, and how would his glory shine forth from what appeared to be hopelessness? Thus, the chapter of Lot and his daughters unfolded, resting in the boundless mystery of divine redemption. As the sun arose on another day in Zor, a deeper resolve filled the hearts of Lot and his daughters. The memories of Sodom and its destruction remained woven into their daily thoughts, yet with each passing moment, the words of the stranger lingered in their minds, grounding them in hope. "Let us not forget the voice of the Lord," Lot reminded them as they broke their fast. "He calls us to prepare, for a new beginning is upon us." His words became the tether that connected their painful past to the promise of tomorrow. In the days that followed, they continued to toil, turning the land towards productivity. Lot taught his daughters the ways of agriculture, showing them how to plant seeds and cultivate the earth. Each furrow they dug was a declaration of their newfound determination, a physical act of faith in God's promise. Yet, as they worked, Lot could see the fleeting whispers of doubt clouding their spirits. Each day carried reminders of what had been lost, and it was becoming increasingly evident that scars ran deeper than he had perceived. One evening, while they prepared to rest, Lot's eldest daughter, named Sila, voiced her heart's growing turmoil. "Father, what if we are destined only to carry the ashes of our former home? What if the lineage we are meant to bear is stunted by our past?" Her voice cracked with the weight of sorrow and uncertainty. "Dear Sila," Lot spoke softly, kneeling beside her. "The God we serve is unchanging. The ashes of our past can be the fertile ground from which he grows the future. Think of Abraham, who faced trials, yet stood firm in faith. Great nations arose from his obedience. The Lord's plans go beyond our understanding." Yet, Sila's spirit remained restless. She longed for the assurance of God's hand and yearned for a sign that would affirm their path ahead. The night deepened, and the stars began to emerge, each glowing as a reminder of God's vast creation. In that stillness, a thought came, a longing for something palpable, tangible. The next day, the daughters resolved to offer up a special prayer, a request for a sign from God to affirm the words of the stranger and their father's teachings. Together, they returned to the altar they had built, gathering their own thoughts and laying them before the Lord. Mighty God, they began, we seek your face and long for your reassurance. Show us the way. Confirm our purpose in this land of new beginnings. As you once spoke to the ancients, may you now stir within our hearts a confirmation that we are cherished in your sight. Their voices mingled in earnest supplication, each word rising towards heaven like incense from their lips. With hearts now laid bare, they awaited an answer. As twilight descended once more, the same radiant stranger appeared before them, shimmering with the glory of the Lord. Your prayers have reached the heavens, he proclaimed. God hears your pleas and sees your faithfulness. Know this, from you shall come forth a lineage that transcends the borders of nations. Great is the plan he has designed, and from ashes, new life shall arise. Lot gazed upon the messenger, each word a balm for their souls. What must we do? He asked earnestly. Prepare, the stranger replied with firm assurance. For soon, you shall bear witness to a manifestation of God's covenant. And as you embrace the unknown, trust that he shall unfold his plan before your eyes. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of hope, Lot and his daughters felt an awakening, a refreshment in their spirits that transformed their fear into anticipation. But in the depths of that promise, as they gathered around their altar for yet another night of prayer, a lingering question remained: could their hearts withstand the trials that lay ahead? What would this divine plan mean for them, and how might its revelation ripple across generations? Thus, they kept watch and waited, the mystery of God's sovereign plan unfolding with every breath, leading them forward into the unknown. As dawn broke upon Zor, a sense of divine urgency filled the air, for Lot and his daughters awakened with renewed spirits, ready to work the land that was theirs to cultivate. The promise of God's covenant lingered in their hearts like a cherished secret, binding them together in faith. Let us gather our strength, Lot said, his voice resonant with authority. For today is a day of preparation. He who has called us forth from destruction has plans for our future. With determination, Sila and her sister, aged yet wise beyond their years, set to work alongside their father. With each seed they planted, they whispered prayers, entrusting their hopes to the soil. May this land yield fruit as our hearts yield to thee, O Lord, Sila prayed, her brow furrowed in concentration, yet amid their labor, shadows of doubt flickered like leaves disturbed by the wind. The weight of Sodom's demise clung heavily to their souls. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows over the fields of Zor, Lot observed Sila gazing into the horizon with uncertainty. What troubles your heart, my daughter? He inquired, concern etching his features. Father, Sila replied, her voice trembling. We toil, but what if this land cannot redeem our lineage? What if we are lost forever, with no future to hold? Lot knelt beside her, grasping her hands with a father's fervor. The Lord has promised us, Sila. Do not allow despair to cloud the truth of his words. Remember your namesake. Sila means shadow, yet shadows exist only where light also shines. We must remember to seek the light of his promise. As dusk approached, they gathered once more at the altar, their hearts aligned in unison for prayer. Lord of hosts, they lifted their voices melodiously to the heavens, we seek your guidance and divine favor. This land is foreign to us, but we trust in your faithfulness. Show us your hand in our lives and grant us courage to fulfill the purpose you have placed in our hearts. With humility, they bowed their heads, drawing near to the sacred ground where they had encountered the glorious stranger. The stillness around them deepened, and the stars blinked into existence above, creating a canvas of divine wonder. Then, like the sudden break of dawn after a dark night, the radiant stranger appeared once more, multiplied in glory. Fear not, for the Lord hath heard your cries, said the messenger, his voice a melody of strength. You stand at the threshold of greatness. From you shall arise a new generation, one that shall know the glory of the Almighty. Hope surged within them, igniting their faith anew. What now, O messenger? Lot inquired, breathless with anticipation. What is to come will not rise without sacrifice, the stranger replied, his countenance radiant with divine assurance. Prepare your hearts, for trials are ahead. Yet know this: he who calls you forth does not leave you to walk alone. From this very soil, a people will emerge who shall bear witness to his truth. The air around them vibrated with holy purpose as the realization set in. Their struggles were integral to the unfolding tapestry of divine redemption. The hearts of Lot and his daughters were enveloped in both awe and fear, but hidden within this promise remained a mystery yet unveiled. What tribulations would forge their faith, and what would become of the lineage that lay before them? As they pondered the unfolding chapters of their lives, an unshakable truth whispered deep within: the sovereign plan of God was far greater than their fears could fathom, and thus, they kept vigil, hearts beat in unison with the rhythm of hope, anticipating the next move in God's grand design, a tale yet untold, poised to reveal the unyielding magnificence of his redemptive purpose. As the days unfolded in Zoar, the rhythm of life settled into a sacred cadence. Lot and his daughters worked the land, their toil becoming a testament to their resolve and faith. Yet, the specter of Sodom lingered, casting shadows upon their spirits. One evening, as the sun set aflame the horizon, casting hues of crimson and gold, Lot sat outside his tent, contemplating the lessons etched upon his heart. The weight of leadership pressed upon him, for he sensed a divine reckoning on the brink. The memory of the city's destruction haunted him, yet the angel's words resonated like a beacon of hope. Father. Sila's voice burst through the reverie, her eyes wide with an urgency that ignited his concern. The land brings forth more than we could have imagined. The harvest is ripe beyond our dreams. With renewed vigor, Lot rose, and the three gathered to survey the fields. Sprigs of grain swayed in the gentle breeze, and fruit hung heavy upon the branches as if the earth itself had conspired to bless them abundantly. Look, he said, pointing to the ripening crops. The Lord is faithful to his promise, we shall not perish as we feared. His hand is upon us. They rejoiced, each heart swelling with gratitude. Yet, within the joy, Sila's brow furrowed with an unspoken thought. Father, though we gather in plenty, what is to become of our legacy? With every bounty, I hear the whispers of what we have lost. Will these gains fill the emptiness left by Sodom? Lot placed a wise hand upon her shoulder. Remember, my daughter, that a seed must die to bring forth fruit, John 12 verse 24. Our history, though painful, is but the soil nurturing new beginnings. We must honor it while striving towards what God promises. That night, under the vast tapestry of stars, they gathered beneath the altar once more. They lifted their voices, a testament to their dependence upon the Almighty. O Lord of the heavens, they cried, we have found your favor in this land, yet our hearts remain troubled by the shadows of the past. Show us your ways, that we may walk rightly before you. Silence enveloped them, enveloping their pleas. Then the sound of wings brushed through the air, a mighty whisper behind the sound of crickets. The celestial stranger appeared anew, shimmering in splendor. Lot, faithful servant, the messenger declared, your prayers have ascended unto the throne of grace. The Lord has not forgotten Sodom, nor do he forsake its memory. The blood of the righteous cries out for justice but also for restoration. In awe, Lot's heart raced. What do you mean, O glorious one? From this lineage shall arise a new promise, the angel continued. Fear not, for the sins of the past shall bear fruit in unexpected places. Through trials, new paths will emerge, leading to redemption. For the light that shines forth from this family will draw many to the knowledge of the Most High. The daughters exchanged bewildered glances, trepidation and hope intertwining within their spirits. The gravity of the message was heavy yet laden with possibility. What shall be the shape of this future? Sila asked, her voice quivering. The divine messenger smiled. It is not for you to know now. But in the tapestry of time, the threads of your existence will weave together a greater story. Prepare yourselves, for the journey is just beginning. As the divine presence withdrew, the night deepened, and the stars glimmered brightly above, casting their ethereal gaze upon the earth. Lot and his daughters remained, hearts ignited with questions and courage alike. God's designs were vast and profound, and with each passing moment, they could feel the weight of destiny pressing upon them. They whispered to one another, each pondering the omens in their heart. Thus, they clung to hope, knowing the pieces of their lives formed a mystical puzzle. The dawn of a new era approached, veiled in mystery, awaiting their embrace. What legacy awaited them beyond the horizon? And how would God's sovereign plan unfold through their humble hands? These truths remained unspoken, yet their spirits danced with anticipation. As dawn broke over Zor, the sun's rays pierced through the remnants of night, illuminating the land in a warm embrace. Lot awoke early, his spirit restless with the echo of the angel's words. His heart was heavy, yet filled with a burgeoning anticipation, as if the very air around him spoke of divine secrets not yet unveiled. "Father, what burdens your soul?" asked Sila, noticing her father's furrowed brows as they prepared for the day's work. Lot took a deep breath, choosing his words with care. "My daughter, the promise we received last night rings clear in my heart. The shadows of our past cannot be ignored, yet they shall not dictate our future." Beside them, Naama, the younger sister, was busy gathering the remnants of their morning meal. "But how, father? How can we build upon ashes that hold only sorrow?" As they sat together, Lot reached for the sacred scrolls gifted to him, the words of God inscribed upon them like the very laws of creation. "Look here, daughters," he said, unfurling the parchment. "Our forefathers spoke of hope amidst despair. They journeyed through deserts, faced fears, and wrestled with their God. Even when folly led to devastation, there arose a promise of fruitfulness born from trials. There was Abraham and Isaac," Sila said softly, as recognition dawned in her eyes. "Yet, none have witnessed the depths of such ruin that we have." "Precisely, dear Sila. From such depths, the most profound blooms oft arise," Lot affirmed, his voice growing firm with conviction. "So let us honor our lineage while moving boldly towards a future yet to come." As they toiled under the sun, gathering their harvest amidst a landscape now vibrant and full, voices in the distance began to ripple through the air. Lot turned to see several men approaching, shadows of doubt trailing behind their confident strides. Their garments were rough, revealing weary souls on a journey. "Who are these men?" Naama whispered, her tone laced with caution. "Travelers, perhaps," Lot replied, though concern gnawed in his spirit. "We must tend to them, for hospitality is our duty." As they approached, Lot stepped forth. "Welcome, weary travelers. Would you partake in our bounty?" One of the men, his demeanor commanding, spoke, "We seek knowledge of the past, the ways of Sodom and the meaning of its ruin. Word has traveled far of your survival in this land. What is it that your God desires?" A silence gripped the group as Lot exchanged glances with his daughters. The moment hovered, pregnant with the weight of their shared history. At last, Lot answered, "Sodom was a land of great iniquity, where righteous cries fell on deaf ears. Yet even amidst destruction, there is a whisper of grace. We were spared, not for our merit, but for the mercy of the Almighty, He who redeems what is broken." The travelers looked upon him with intrigue, their expressions shifting from suspicion to reverence. "Tell us more of this God who spares," the bold man implored. Lot shared with them the story of his journey, the wrath unveiled upon Sodom, the rescue from the flames, and the promise of a new lineage destined for greatness. As he spoke, Sila and Naama felt the tension of their past ease in the presence of this revelation, for they began to see that their struggle had a purpose. "From your words flows a healing balm," another traveler spoke, his voice filled with yearning. "Might there still remain a glimmer of hope for the brokenness we carry?" "Indeed," Lot replied, his heart swelling. "From ashes, beauty will arise. God desires not the end of man but his restoration." As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over Zor, the travelers received Lot's message, hearts ignited by renewed hope. Together, they gathered under the evening sky, voices rising in prayer, calling upon the name of the Lord for both wisdom and redemption, yet, as they bowed their heads, a shudder coursed through the ground. The earth trembled as if responding to the prayers, whispering secrets to the hills. Lot's heart raced anew, for he sensed the breath of destiny surrounding them, pulsing with the rhythm of divine creation. Little did they know, a greater chapter awaited them, one intricately woven into the unfolding fabric of God's sovereign plan. What celestial truth hovered just beyond reach, waiting to reveal itself in glorious splendor? The answer lay shrouded in both mystery and promise, beckoning them ever onward. As twilight wrapped its gentle arms around Zor, the evening sky blazed with hues of crimson and gold, signifying an end but also a new beginning. The travelers, stirred by Lot's words, stood with their heads bowed, hearts now anchored in hope. The ground beneath them pulsated, rising and falling like breath, a reminder of the sacred connection between the Creator and His creation. Suddenly, the air grew thick, as if time itself held its breath. Lot turned to gaze upon the horizon, where the distant mountains seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. Behold, he called to the men, the Almighty beckons. From the shadows emerged another figure, cloaked in robes of radiant white, a messenger of the Lord, sent to seal the promise made to Lot. The travelers looked upon this figure with awe, their weariness forgotten, replaced by a reverence that enveloped them. "Fear not," the angel's voice echoed, soft yet powerful, calming like a gentle rain. "For I bring tidings not just of your past, but a revelation of what is to come. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob remembers his covenant." Lot's heart quickened as he listened intently. "Speak, O messenger of the Most High. What is this revelation that you bring?" The angel raised a hand, and the night air shimmered around them. "In the days ahead, you will see the fruit of faithfulness. Your daughters shall flourish, for they will carry forth blessings among the nations. From this remnant, a lineage will arise that shall bear witness to the restoration of the Lord." Sila and Naama exchanged glances, their eyes wide, reflecting the flickering light of divine promise. "Is it truly so?" Sila implored. "Can the broken find wholeness again?" "Indeed, dear daughter," the angel affirmed, his gaze warm as the embers of a fire. "A remnant shall be preserved, a people called and chosen to proclaim his mercy. From your lineage, the seed of redemption will sprout, destined to embrace the world in love as the prophet foretold." At the mention of prophecy, Lot's thoughts turned toward the words spoken by the Lord to Abraham in days long past, "In you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed." He felt a convergence of time, history, and divinity in that moment. His heart confirmed what the messenger declared. As the angel's announcement settled upon them like mist on the morning grass, the very ground trembled yet once more. A deep rumble echoed, not of judgment, but of anticipation, the universe awaiting the fulfillment of divine purpose. The travelers looked to Lot, seeking understanding, for what awaited them was uncharted territory, yet pregnant with promise. But before they could fully grasp the implications, the ground split with a sudden fierceness, and flames flickered in the distance, bright and wild from the direction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Fear gripped the hearts of all present, for the weight of urgency descended upon them. "Prepare yourselves," the angel commanded. "For the day of reckoning approaches, yet within this chaos lies the seed of new beginnings. The heavens will upheave what was, to bring forth what is promised." Lot's voice choked with emotion as he drew near, feeling the rush of destiny course through him. "What shall we do? How will we survive? How will the promise endure?" "Trust in the Lord with all your heart," the messenger urged, "and lean not on your own understanding. The path is veiled, yet the light leads onward. His sovereign will shall not be thwarted." With fear and faith intertwined, Lot turned to Sila and Naama. "We must stand firm, for we are part of a greater narrative, a divine restoration that binds our past to our destiny." As they gazed into the rising smoke, the promise of redemption lingered in the air, a collective heartbeat of hope amidst destruction. In their spirits ignited anew, they understood, God had a plan far beyond their sorrows and a future intertwined with unspeakable grace, yet, within the depths of that impending calamity loomed an even greater mystery, a revelation to come, one that would echo through generations, promising renewal and purpose in the shadow of judgment. What divine reality awaited them, hidden just beyond the horizon of their understanding? The answer lay intricately woven within the fabric of God's grand design, leading them deeper into his sovereign heart. As the sun set upon Zor, casting silhouettes against an ever-deepening sky, Lot and his daughters found themselves at the heart of divine revelation. The flames that erupted from the remnants of Sodom, fierce and chaotic, danced before them, and yet, amidst the crackling deafness of judgment, they felt a stirring hope. The voice of the messenger still rang in their ears, "A lineage shall arise that will bear witness to the restoration of the Lord." "Father," Sila spoke, her voice steadying, "what lies ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, yet our hearts cling to the promise of deliverance. How shall we embrace this new beginning?" Lot looked into his daughter's eyes, a reflection of resolve and echoing fear swirling within him. "We shall walk forward. For the Lord has not brought us this far to abandon us," he declared, drawing strength from the knowledge of God's faithfulness. "We will not only endure, we shall blossom where those ashes settle." In that moment, they gathered together, their hands clasped in prayer, raising their voices to the heavens. "Hear us, O Lord. As smoke rises from destruction, let your mercy fall like rain upon us. Guide our steps into the promise you have ordained." As they prayed, the air thickened with divine presence, the ethereal glow of the messenger surrounded them once more. "Take heart. For the time of restoration is at hand. What seems lost is but a seed, and in due time, you shall witness the fruit of faithfulness and resilience." Through their tears, hope relit a flame within them. They understood that the shadows of Sodom would not engulf them, no longer would they be tethered to despair. Their past, while painful, would inform their future but would not define it. Days turned to weeks as the family labored diligently in the fields of Zor, transforming the soil of loss into a garden of promise. They toiled under the sun, drawing sustenance from their hard work, but more significantly, from the ever-present assurance of God's providence. Each crop harvested became a testament to their resilience, a declaration that they were alive and would thrive. Still, doubts occasionally flitted into their hearts. A chill of uncertainty whispered of their lineage and whether they were truly called to usher in God's promises. But Lot, ever the anchor for his daughters, continually reminded them, even in desolation, "We are not forsaken. The Lord we serve sees us, hears us, and will fulfill his word." Then, upon a day marked by the soft rustle of breeze over golden fields, a group of travelers approached, weary yet resolute. Lot welcomed them, sensing divine purpose radiant among them, and shared his story, a tale of divine judgment tempered by mercy, and the promise of a new lineage laden with hope. As night fell, shared stories mingled with laughter, and as they gathered under the stars, the stranger among them spoke with resolve, "The legacy that will arise from you shall transcend history. Nations shall rise and fall, yet the faith born from these ashes will endure and recall the majesty of the Almighty." With each heart intertwined in that sacred night, anticipation ignited hope anew. They felt the breadth of their purpose stretching beyond what they could comprehend, a call to embrace a future woven through trials and triumphs alike. Yet in that divine comfort, they were reminded still of their roots, their connection to all that had come to pass. How shall we honor those who have suffered for the sake of righteousness, and integrate their legacies into our own? Naama asked, earnestness in her eyes. "By living as beacons of hope," Lot replied firmly. "We honor those who came before us not by lingering in sadness, but by living fully and unashamedly, leading others towards the light of his glory." Their hearts echoed with understanding, spirits woven into the very fabric of their surroundings. The cycle of suffering, loss, and resilience shaped their journey, yet they knew a singular truth: together, they forged ahead, a beacon of love generated from the sacrifices of the righteous. In the warmth of that sacred night, Lot and his daughters embraced the risen call upon their lives. They imaginatively ventured into the horizon of promise, knowing their journey would paint the path toward the unfolding legacy God had envisioned. Every seed sown reflected their tenacity, every fruit harvested declaring their commitment to rise continually in faith. As dawn broke over Zor, the sun cast an illuminating ray of brilliance, revealing a landscape vibrant with potential. Lot stood at the doorway of their tent, breathing deep the fragrant air and affirming their new beginning. "Behold! A fresh chapter lies before us," he proclaimed, joy coursing through his veins. "Let us carry the echoes of our past into this new legacy," he continued, gesturing to Tzila and Naama. "For it is within us every story of redemption, every promise we cling to, woven into the glorious tapestry of God's sovereign plan." In that moment, they understood God did not merely deliver them from destruction, he called them to build anew, drawing from the very depths of their history to propel them into the future. Thus, hand in hand, they stepped forward, their hearts aligning with the purpose of heaven, the dawn of their legacy commencing as they ventured together into uncharted waters of possibility. And so, cherished reader, as you consider the story of Lot and his daughters, reflect upon how God weaves hope from despair, how legacies can bloom forth from ashes. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word and not miss the next powerful biblical stories that will deepen your faith and renew your spirit. Leave a like now to help spread God's Word through the algorithm, lifting the message of hope to countless others. Comment your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story impacted your faith. Your voice matters, and sharing these experiences strengthens the body of Christ. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth and embrace His mercy. Join in this sacred mission, for only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach more souls for Christ.